Right, welcome back. And we go straight into the day's papers. The Standard attack questions as TSC withdraws 17 school heads. A swift action by the teachers' employers, ostensibly to signal its zero tolerance for violence, by moving 17 tutors from a Kakamega school where parents attacked teachers over poor KCSE results, has inadvertently created a new kind of suffering for students who are caught up in the crossfire. So, according to the Kakamega County Education Director, Helen Nyangau, all 17 teachers have indeed been transferred from Isongo Secondary School. The issue to do with their replacement and how long it will take lies fully with TSC. Read that story on page 5, and we saw this especially when the results came out, and so the parents were blaming the teachers because of various issues, and so 17 teachers have been transferred from Kakamega and other regions. So you can read that story. As I see Kakamega Kupet Chair Johnson Wabuti, who says, we fully support TSC's move because there is no way we can allow hooliganism in our schools. Let those who are behind the incident learn a lesson to deter others. So you read that on page 5. On page 4, still on education matters, long wait for schools and students for verdict on KCPE, KCSE complaints. Exams council will take 60 days to investigate and claims before tribunal takes up probe. The investigations may affect the candidates' placement in universities and Form 4. That is on page 4. I also see homicide detectives roped in probe on Nakuru doctor's death. That is on page 11. Ruto seeks to repair relations with neighbors. President Ruto will today be seeking to steady Kenya's strained relationships with her neighbors when he meets regional leaders. This includes Uganda President Yoweri Museveni on the sidelines of 2 meetings in Kampala in Uganda. Extensively, that story is covered on page 7. Get to see what is happening. I also see Gachagua drops move to petition for removal of High Court judge. DP accused Justice Maina of being corrupt after she declared his fortunes as proceeds of crime. Gachagua's statement comes days after the CJ said she was ready to meet the president. That is a story you can read on page 6. I also see 30 years later, remembering Jaramogi Oginga, that is on page 8, remembering Jaramogi, inside life and times of the doyen of opposition politics. Kenyans celebrate Jaramogi's 30th anniversary this weekend. His influence in politics still being felt decades after he died. And I see James Orengo, the Siaya governor, saying the importance of that moment for me was that I was there for the man I believed in and a man I had worked for. Read that story on page 8 inside the Standard. I also see NTSA is raising the alarm over rising pedestrian deaths. A report shows that last year, 4,139 people had died on the roads by December 20th, 2023. 4,139 people had died on the roads by December 20th, 2023. Now, they're saying majority of fatalities were pedestrians and motorcyclists, according to the safety agency. You can read that on page 14 inside the Standard. As we continue to get to see other stories, the business side, they are reporting tighten your belts again. IMF warns after new 150 billion shillings loan to Kenya. So the global lender says the cost of living will remain elevated for the first half of this year amid a resurgence in inflation. The country will be receiving an immediate disbursement of 99.8 billion shillings. This is part of the loan arrangement. Read that on page 22. Digital skilling initiative to benefit 5,000. So over 5,000 women and youth in Africa will be benefiting from training and also essential digital technology skills that will enhance their employment prospects. Also that you can read inside the Standard. The world news, PM Sunak sees off conservative rebels as MPs back Rwanda bill. Prime Minister argues deporting some asylum seekers to Rwanda will be a deterrent. This would permit the UK to ignore parts of human rights law. This is in relation to Rwanda. What does that mean? You can read more on page 24. Aya, tuende kule back page of the Standard, and this is the sports page. Which lions will roar louder as Cameroon face Senegal? And of course, there is a picture there of the two coaches, iconic figures actually when it comes to African football as well. I'm talking of Cameroon head coach Rigobert Song and Senegal head coach Aliou Cisse, and they will be facing off tonight as the two lions. We are talking of the indomitable Lions of Cameroon and the defending champions, the Teranga Lions of Senegal. So which lion will be able to roar louder? That is the question, and that is an encounter that you can watch from 8 p.m. tonight. And so you remember Cameroon drew their opening encounter again, and the Senegalese were victorious in their opening encounter. So the question is, who will take all the points, or will they share the spoil? 8 p.m. That is tonight. In other matches slated for today at 5 p.m., Cape Verde will be taking on Mozambique, as the late kickoff will see Guinea entertaining Gambia. That is in as far as the African Cup of Nations is concerned. The FA Cup also, we see Everton beating Palace in replay. Sociedad de Girona in quarters of the Copa del Rey on Wednesday night as they won a derby 2-0 away to Osasuna. Last night also, Madrid, it was the Madrid derby, and Atletico Madrid downed their city rivals Real. Barca also were winners in their encounter. Right. So it's all about the Africa Cup of Nations. That is spread on pages 34 and 35. DRC coach Rue's missed chances in Zambia draw. I also see Amrouche admits to tactical failure as Morocco make their fans happy. Of course, we saw majirani wetu wakifunzwa maswala ya soka. They were beaten 3-0 by Morocco. So that is a spread on page 34 and 35. World number one, Swiatek survives a huge Collins scare. Four-time Grand Slam champion Iga has an excellent record against lower-ranked players. That is in the ongoing, this is Australian Open. Right, so that is the Standard. Allow us to look at the Daily Nation, and the front line also, they are going with the same story of Kenya and IMF, and they are saying IMF's bitter pill for taxpayers. So revenue performance has remained low despite the enhanced tax measures. No respite. Kenyans are set for another reason of more tax pain as the government starts implementing International Monetary Fund-backed revenue measures that are expected to yield an additional 806 billion. This is over the next 3 years. This comes at a time of elevated inflation and subdued economic activity, which have made it hard for the Kenya Kwanza administration to bring in new taxes and levies without opposition. It's a story on page 7. And of course, this was also a major story which broke yesterday. Outrage as Supreme Court blacklists top lawyer over attacks. Apex Court announcing an indefinite ban on senior counsel Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi and his law firm, or any person acting on his instructions, from appearing before it. And in that statement, they were citing consistent abuse and attacks on judicial officers. But of course, an outrage continued to pour following that decision. It's a story you can read on page 10, and we are expecting more reactions even now, even today. over the same. I see on page 2 they are reporting release full free learning cash secondary principals demand. The Kenya Secondary Schools Heads Association saying that state has only disbursed 4,000 shillings capitation for every student, leaving schools grappling with huge pending bills. It's a story you can read on page 2. I also see Court of Appeal to rule on rollout of new health plan today. This is a big one. So we will be waiting to hear what the Court of Appeal has to say. As I see, new funding likely to ease Eurobond concerns. Tourism, best performing sector under Ruto regime. This is the state spokesperson says president on track to stabilize Kenya's economy. You can read that and get to see what he means by that as we continue with other stories inside the nation. Axo load violation and tracker 47 million shillings fine. Wow. Kenha officials stopped driver along Mombasa Road with lorry carrying in excess of 54,000 kilograms. So Kenha slapping a truck driver with a 46.9 million shillings fine for violating Axo load regulations on Mombasa Road. So you can read that on page 12. I also see inside the nation county news, Osoro steps up Arati feud, threatens defamation suit. MP gives governor 2 days to apologize for linking him to fight in South Mugirango. That is a story on page 19. So please take notice that Honorable Sylvanus Osoro intends to commence rigorous legal action against you. That is the letter from the advocate. That is in as far as counties are concerned. DN2 pullout. The Voice, that is today's DN2 pullout, and they are reporting El Nino's trail of misery. IDP camps. Hundreds of women and children in Tana River and Garissa counties have been left homeless as floods wreak havoc. They now grapple with hunger, waterborne diseases, and massive disruption of health services. Read that on page 4 and 5. On page 6, inside the pullout, Betty Gikonyo, revolutionary doctor with a heart for children. You can read that inside the DN2 pullout. All right, I see the world news, cancel Somaliland deal. Somalia warns Ethiopia. Tensions have escalated after Ethiopia signed an MOU with Somaliland. So that is a dispute between those countries. Read that. Uganda opposition leader Bobi Wine under house arrest. So he said on Thursday police had surrounded his residence and put him under house arrest ahead of a planned protest. That is in as far as world news is concerned. Business news, oil deal distorting money market admits Treasury. So the government to government oil importation arrangement, which was introduced in April last year to address foreign exchange challenges in Kenya, has had an opposite effect as it created distortions in the currency market, Treasury has now admitted. I also see CA warns Airtel and Telcom over poor quality of services. We can read that as well in the business section of the Daily Nation. Back page, PS, transfer of devolved resources to take time. Principal secretaries and governors are set to meet next week to discuss pending devolved functions. President set February deadline for consensus on functions to be devolved. Counties may have to wait until next year to start receiving 272.2 billion shillings worth of resources for pending devolved functions. That's according to devolution Principal Secretary Teresia Mbaika. All right, read that. It's the back page. Tanzanians crashed in first match, but do Kenyans care? Nah. Sisi ni couch branch. So really, We are just enjoying, all right? So those matches, again, will be played today. Cape Verde, Mozambique, 5 p.m. Senegal, Cameroon, 8 p.m. Guinea, Gambia at 11 p.m. And so those were the matches. I see Gor Mahia Tusker clash looms as Sofapaka host Kakamega Homeboys. So the weekend action begins today in Machakos, but all the talk is about Kogalo taking on the Brewers and the bitter rivalry playing out once again. So today, Sofapaka will be taking on Kakamega Homeboys. Tomorrow we'll be having 4 matches. Sharks of Karibangi taking on Bandari. Shabana will be taking on Ulinzi. Mohoroni Youth versus KCB. But of course, the standout fixture this weekend will be taking place tomorrow in Machakos. The Green Army, Gor Mahia, will be taking on the Brewers, Tusker. And then on Sunday, Police versus Nzoia, Talanta versus Bidco United, Posta versus Moranga Seal, Leopards will be entertaining City Stars. That is in as far as the FKF Premier League is concerned. Fireworks expected in Police KDF meets. So this is World Cross Country champ Chebet clashes with Police reigning champ at Ngong. That is in as far as the sports page inside the Daily Nation. Now we go to the Business Daily, just looking at the front page. Treasury admitting deal with Gulf oil farms a flop. Concerns over forex market distortions. December exit plan revealed. So more pain as lender prescribes additional 806 billion taxes. 110 billion loan eases Ruto's Eurobond pressure. And Kenya gains unprecedented access to IMF's exceptional window. So that is stories that you can get inside the Business Daily this morning. So that is what is being captured in today's dailies. You can choose whichever newspaper you want to purchase so that you get to know what is being reported. We have said so many times that the reason we are doing this is so that we get to know what's happening in our nation, and also as believers, we get to know how to pray for our motherland. All right. So remember also on Hope Media, we have you covered on Hope FM every top of the hour from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We have News Watch, and then right here at Hope TV at 7 p.m. we have Dira, and then at 9 we do have News Watch. So we have you covered as well in as far as news coverage is concerned. For now, we are taking a short musical break, and this is to pave way for the video of the day. This is Hope at Dawn.